Que lo que, guys? Welcome to the second episode of Sport Aches, man. You're here with your host, K Noon, and your other great host, Bean and
up?
Smokey. All right, man. So we out here, second episode. We're back, and let's talk opening night, man. Let's hear your takes of opening night. Vroom, let's get us started, man. What do you think?
Okay, so the game I was looking forward to the most was the Lakers and the Clippers played last night. So my takeaways is obviously they had a little bit of the championship hangover, which was like expected. But one of the main talking points this offseason was how deep their bench got, and that definitely showed last night. Like they were in the hole bad. And then off the bench, Dennis Schroeder, Montrezl Harrell played pretty well. So Montrez had 17 points last night and 10 rebounds, which was like a solid contribution. And Dennis Schroeder had 14 points and 8 assists last night. Yeah, it was kind of what we all expected, really. I think Paul George played well too. He really stepped it up after everybody was clowning him all summer. He had like 33, I believe. Yeah. And I mean, there was a couple of games today that caught my eye. RJ Barrett played well. John Morant had 44 points. But I'll let you guys touch on the rest of that stuff.
What you think about the opening night, Rob? What you think? I agree. PG had a great game. He did his thing. There was a lot of. I mean, he was reading the tweets all summer. You know that all the 2 weeks or whatever.
He had to be in his back. He said he got his old trainer back from his
MVP season. I did see that.
But my takeaways from opening night: Nets are looking like the best team in basketball right now.
Hey,
I don't know if it's an overreaction. I hope it's not an overreaction, but they're looking very deep.
They're deep. There's no question. No question.
The Lakers did lose to the Clippers, but I still think the Lakers are the team to beat out in the West. I'll still take them in a 7-game series over the Clippers. I like the new additions, and they're just getting their feet under them, like Rune said, championship hangover. It's nothing serious. The real problem was they got into a hole early, and
they were down 20 at the end of the first, and then they won the second quarter by 18. So they were down 2 points at half. What a turnaround, huh?
Yeah, it would have been a better game if the Lakers didn't let it slip in the first.
I think that they were experimenting with things, honestly, with like mixed matches, players, and rotation.
They're just trying to get the chem going. It's new players integrated and whatnot. This isn't going to be the same team we see at the end of the year.
LeBron also had the bum ankle, got hurt, didn't really play any of the late fourth quarter. Yeah. And it was also an off game for AD. I think you guys had some good points. The Lakers are one of those teams that they can turn it on when they need to also.
Also, the Warriors look like they need some serious help. They need Draymond to come back. They're not going to get Klay Thompson back anytime soon.
Defensively, that was disgusting.
Yeah, they need him offensively, too. They need his playmaking. He's going to help Wiseman. Wiseman was looking very good, very worthy of the second overall pick, and probably the favorite for Rookie of the Year after Game 1. PG, like Ron said, looking like his old self. And I think the Clips are probably the biggest threat to the Lakers out in the West with the addition of Ibaka. That's an upgrade from Montrezl Harrell.
Let's not overreact, though. That was game 1 versus this deepest team in basketball.
Overreacting as far as which team right now? On the Nets, you saying? Or the Warriors? The Warriors, okay. I will say that was a weak performance from them.
Of course, but
I think that, that was probably as bad as it'll get. I still
think they're a playoff team.
Like that.
Yeah, I still think they're a playoff team, but they need some reinforcement soon.
For sure, man. Because
Kevin, what you thinking about opening night?
And I just want to talk one last thing. The Magic played really well tonight. They ended up beating the Eastern Conference Finals champs. Aaron Gordon was getting buckets. Fournier was getting buckets. Fultz had a couple good plays. I think the Magic could be a better team than expected this year.
They're always hanging around. They'd be like a fringe playoff team, low key.
I think they're the 8th seed 2 years in a row.
Yeah. So I like that take. I mean, I joked they're maybe the best team in Florida, but whatever. We won't even get into any of that right now. Opening night, the Clippers, they look good. Paul George is gonna prove people wrong because obviously, I mean, I don't know what the joke. He had a bad bubble. Who cares? He had, being in the bubble, no family,
didn't play
no
horrible
outside.
Either.
What?
He didn't play horribly. He was still having 26, 30.
It was 30. Blown out of proportions, and he's a person that was enduring some mental stuff, and that stuff it takes its toll, and it gets in your head as it probably does for a lot of players in the bubble, as we've seen Danny Green was struggling there too. But I wish, I want him to play good. I want him to, succeed. And I think
it's best for basketball.
Yeah, it's good for basketball when he plays well. And the Nets look amazing. Like we said, they're scary. They look deep. They have like a 10-man rotation of very capable people. Their second unit, like, all started a playoff series together already. So they're not going to be too shabby. The Warriors, though, I think they will have a little bit to worry about. I will say, I believe without Clay on the floor to space the three, I think Curry's going to be pressured a lot more on the three-point line this season. And I do believe he will shoot under 40%. I don't want to say under 40%, but in the small sample of last season, he did shoot.
I don't think Curry has ever shot under 40.
I mean, last season he did, but obviously it's not enough of a sample. It's what it is going to be. And I'm pretty sure that Curry 100% has shot under 40 back in the Monta days. I'm pretty sure.
Curry never shot under 40 until last year.
From the field?
Came into the league shooting 44% from three.
Wow, that's great. That's pretty great. But I do believe he will shoot under 40% this season. This is a season where he's going to be heavily dependent on, and I don't think he's ready to carry anybody, to be honest. But we'll see. That's a good roster. It was a bad game for Oubre and Wiggins, but those guys are certified players in the NBA on any team, and obviously Wiseman and all those guys. But let's just move on, all right? Opening night, RJ Barrett looking like the king of his city, looking like the best player in New York. Move on to the next topic, a topic that's very huge in the NBA right now. James Harden. So I know that you guys have been keeping up with all the, the hullabaloo, and from my perspective, it looks like Harden's trying to, weasel his way out of Houston. Bean mode. Let me hear. What do you think?
I'm kind of drawn on this. Like, don't get me wrong. I think COVID is very serious or whatnot, but I think you got to put some of the blame on the league, because at the end of the day, you could put all these things in place, but what if somebody who was at the club that night, like he did say he was there to support his friend getting money, what if she and him had went out to dinner after she was in the club for the whole night? You can't put all the blame on him, but the NBA got to put stricter rules in place. You can't expect these people to stay home just because, like, you say so. Like, obviously, people are going to break the rules. They have to put better standards in place.
Yeah, it's true. The way the corona is spreading. Like you said, it looks worse that he was there, but somebody who was mask off at the club could have just went and met up with James Harden right after, And it's tough. That's
like, on the front of going to the club, like, it is his personal life. If he's coming out the next night dropping 44 and 10, like, are we really want to talk? I understand the game was canceled, but
that's when I think it's the problem, when it starts interfering with his business side, because it's true, his personal side, yeah, blah blah, but the fact that his game got canceled is a pretty big thing. They had to test Boogie and John Wall, and thank God they came back negatives from their tests. But
trying to support one of his sisters, man.
What I do want to say is, I wouldn't be surprised if the NBA came down with a hefty fine after this.
Yeah, they're investigating. They're probably going to come down with a fine on it. But Smokey, what do you say? Let me hear your voice, huh? What do you think?
I don't see any big problems with the Harden situation. He's just living life. The guy does what he wants. He's been doing this for years now, and he's obviously just trying to get out of Houston. He doesn't want to play there, and he's going to make a ruckus before he gets out of there.
But I'm not going to lie to you. I think this is deeper than the Houston situation. I just think it's the fact of telling the man not to go out. He's been notorious for going out and partying throughout his career. Like, you can't just expect him to stop.
Yeah, but it's the NBA. We can't just assume he's the only player in the league that's feeling that pressure.
He's probably the only noteworthy player. Like,
besides that, whether he's right or wrong, at the end of the day, we know he broke the rules, and he's gonna get punished for it. Wait, but before we change the topic, can I hear both of your best destinations? I feel like he's honestly trying to get out of Houston. Rob? What do you think? You start me up, Smokey. What do you think?
I could see the Nets trading for him and just trying to take over the NBA. This is what KD does. But I don't think that's the best destination. I could really see the Nuggets landing Harden in a trade, giving up Michael Porter Jr., Bobo, and along with some other assets. I could see him fitting into the Denver system. I know everybody sees him as a ball-dominant, dribble player, but I feel like he can learn to fit within a system.
James Harden cannot play off the ball. If you watch any clips of him playing with Russ or Chris Paul, whenever he does not have the ball in his hands, he's standing next to the hash mark with his hands down, not like even looking like a threat, not cutting, not doing anything. Like, yes, it's partially part of the D'Antoni offense, but he also has to take more initiative to make himself a threat off the ball. I don't know if the Nuggets would be.
So you believe that the MVP, who's averaged like 30 the last 6 years, would not be inadequate all-star on any roster that he joins playing as the non-primary player.
Gotta understand what his mental is. He thinks, rightfully so, that he could take anybody off the dribble. Why is he gonna take not a back seat, but why is he gonna play swing basketball, finding an open shooter when he's
because that's what's gonna be demanded.
Because that's why he's forcing his way
out.
That's why
he's under contract for.
Bro,
he's trying. I feel like he's forced. Like he's very obviously trying to get traded out. We all agree.
Let's not act like he's a good catch and shoot player either. His game is dribble, shoot, dribble, get to the plug.
But have you seen him catch and shoot the basketball in the last fucking 6 years?
Kobe Bryant never shot the ball catch and shoot in his lifetime. When he went to Team USA, he shot the ball historically bad because he wasn't accustomed to shooting catch and shoot shots. It was well documented that he had to shoot 1,000 catch and shoot shots a day to get accustomed to that lifestyle.
And I guess James Harden's going to have to get to shooting. But honestly, at any team, what team would he join? Would he not be the primary ball handler on? I asked.
They had 2 different games. Harden,
he's definitely the best. He would definitely be the best ball handler on the Nuggets.
3-point shooter than Kobe Bryant.
Like only on the Nets would I see him having to like primarily be
share the ball. He's going to be the number 1 option no matter what team.
Unlike every team he joins.
But the way that they play the swing game, he's not going to fit in well with that.
Hey, listen. He was the 6th man of the year behind Westbrook and KD, coming into the league. I think that he'll do okay because he's also a microwave, and he's done it before.
12 finals. 2011-2012 season. It's been 9 seasons. This is the 9th season.
Okay, but you're acting like he's been on the most stacked roster. There's been better teams. So what? He almost beat the most stacked team in NBA history with Chris Paul until Chris Paul
got banged up. Yeah.
You can't go your whole life or the past 8 years playing with the ball in your hands and being expected to dribble my shots not there. Let me not take a step.
That's true, but you're making it sound like where if he goes somewhere that he will not be able to have at least a 30% usage rate,
or at least change his game in any slight form.
Because we can't pretend that that's what's gonna happen. We can't.
Let's talk about it before we move on. You can't expect somebody who's trying to force his way out of a situation to be willing to take not a backseat, but to take a lesser role for the benefit of the team. Like you got to understand.
Why?
That's
literally what Westbrook wanting to do that.
That's what Westbrook did last season, and that's what everybody said Westbrook couldn't do, though, and he did it last year.
Okay, but Westbrook wasn't trying to force his way out of the situation.
Okay, so then he would have less so he had less motive to change than Harden, is what you're telling me, because Harden wants to leave.
You forget him and Westbrook were actually pretty closer than most of his other teammates.
Bro, and Harden's trying to go to team up with KD. And listen, for me, my team that I think would be a great fit for James Harden, that I think, a lot of people might not agree, I think he'd be a great fit in Miami. He'd be able to be the primary ball handler along with Jimmy Butler, where they play on ball, off ball. And it'd just be the 2-man game with Bam setting screens, and whatever shooters are left that weren't included in the trade are going to just be, getting a whole bunch of shots.
Before we move on, no disrespect to Jamal Murray or anybody else here, but James Harden is not going to say this guy is just as good as running a pick and roll, shooting a step back three, or getting to the cup as me, or passing it off to the big. Let me do it. So it's not like you have to. He's not going to just say, "Yo, let me take a lesser role," because that's what the team needs.
Okay, but you're acting like he's calling all the shots. It's not the Rockets no more. If he's going to the Nuggets, he's playing under the Nuggets system, under the Nuggets regime.
But I also do not believe that. Okay, if you replace Jamal Murray with James Harden last year and Harden and Jokic are the main, I think that they're a lot better team personally.
Yes, replacing. But I'm talking. Are they trading Murray in your situation?
I don't think that they are, and that's why I think that they'll be even better than the situation I just said, because they'll have Murray, Harden, and Jokic.
I would honestly, before we move on, I would rather see Harden playing alongside Porter and them trading Murray, because I feel like that would
honestly the same thing could be said about a lot of guys. Kuzma's a player who is a lot better without the ball in his hand. I mean, with the ball in his hands, and now he's playing off ball. He's gone down a lot. It's just a thing that some guys got to adjust. Kevin Love, another one who had to learn to be a catch and shoot guy. Chris Bosh, guys who team up with LeBron.
Some people can and some people cannot.
We're going
to see if Harden can. You can't just write him off before he even starts.
It's something you got to – exactly. It's something that comes with time. We'll see. It depends what team he goes to. But let's move on. Moving on, NBA accolades. Who do you guys have for MVP this season? Who do you think? Let's hear Smokey start us off.
I got the King, LeBron James. I got him winning his last MVP ever.
Okay.
He got absolutely snubbed last year by Giannis, and I could see him taking it this year if the Lakers end up on top in the West again.
Indubitably. I mean, it's true. They were the one seed last year, and the team just got a whole lot better. So I love that.
Don't get me wrong. Like, LeBron has been my favorite player since probably the age of 9.
Yeah.
I'm disagree with that one. Remember, they played their last finals game like October 15th or something, I believe, right?
Ah, great point.
See the court much in the month of January. Like last night, he already had the bum ankle game 1, so he's gonna have limited stats to go off of. Plus, it is a media narrative, so they're always gonna compare LeBron to what he's done in the past, not compared to the rest of the league, which is
That's true. That is true.
The media picks the awards. It's not like who was the best player, the best team.
Yeah, like LeBron. Yeah, that's such a great point that you make.
But they always judge him against himself.
Yeah, like LeBron. If LeBron doesn't put up career LeBron numbers, it's tough to give it to him. That's funny. So who do you have winning the award? Who's your guy?
Okay, so I have Luka Doncic winning the award.
Ooh, okay.
Coincidentally, that's somebody who's LeBron said he's a big fan of. He wanted him to be the number 1 player on Team LeBron. I also think with the loss of Kristaps Porzingis, like to injury, Doncic is going to have to carry a lion's share of the load. Like they're actually playing right now. I think his numbers are going to be slightly inflated until Porzingis come back.
Yeah, gonna have to take a lot more of the offensive load for sure.
I believe also that this is his 3rd year, which is normally when like the game slows down super for like a lot of the top tier players, even though like he's been playing the game at a high level.
Yeah.
Like, year 2, he was averaging 28.8. I could only imagine what he would do now. They traded for Josh Richardson and James Johnson, which are 2 players that I like a lot.
Okay. Those are some good players. For me, I'm gonna keep it brief so we can move on to the next accolade. Trae Young is my MVP. I already said that the Hawks built a contender in 1 season off him. They had an unbelievable opening night. The kid dropped 30 points without even taking 13 shots. It's ridiculous. He averaged 30 and 10 last season, almost 10 assists last year. And a guy who can do it so well, scoring and diming. He was the 5th player in NBA history to average at least 29 and 9.
In
his second year. He's the one of 5 people to ever do that.
37, 7, and 6 tonight. That's amazing.
It's remarkable. I think the sky's the limit. I think that he put up those unbelievable stats last year, shooting efficiently from the field, while also this is the main thing that players that like people don't think about with stats. As the main player on that team, with John Collins missing a lot of the season, he was the primary scoring option, drawing in a large amount of double teams, drawing all the attention of the defense. Now, when they have so many scoring options, he can literally lay back and pick apart the defense when he wants to. Compared to before, he had to score nearly on every possession or do something big for them to even get the offense going. It's going to be a completely different year for Trae, where I think this is going to be his first year possibly shooting over 40% from 3. And I think that he's going to be shooting at least over 45% from the field. And as a top 3 seed in the East, which I think is very plausible, I think that could secure the MVP. So that's nice, though. Me and Bean, we got a couple guys, 30 years. We think, like he said, the game slows down. Those 30-year players, man.
If I'm not mistaken, they were traded for each other on draft night?
They were. The Hawks and the Mavs, they both got, they both traded. That's so funny. They both did that trade for like all NBA caliber potential players. And
loser or winner
I'm feeling that bad right now.
Guys.
What was that?
I don't want to say there was a winner or a loser on that trade. I think they both got the right fit.
Yeah, they both got their guys. They did. So, all right, let's move on. Smokey, defensive player of the year. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Rudy Gobert. I could see him and the Utah Jazz locking up a lot of teams this year. Gobert has been a paint presence forever, it seems like. Pretty easy pick for me.
Not a bad pick. Let's not forget he shut down all 30 teams at one time, bringing coronavirus.
I wanted to make that joke so bad. He shut down the whole league last season.
Because his guards, Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell, do play defense. And if they drive him to the big, he's going to be punching everything. I'm not opposed to that pick.
So who do you have? Who's your pick?
I have Bam Adebayo.
Okay, great pick. I like that.
He got paid over the offseason, and I think he deserved every dollar of it. In a Pat Riley Eric Spoelstra system, they hang their head on defense. Jimmy Butler, tenacious defender. And he's one of the players who he could guard probably 1 through 5. Like, he has a similar Anthony Davis body type where he's tall and lengthy, but he's also like agile and mobile.
I like that. That's a good pick. Really talented player. Bam's on the cusp of being, taking that next step, and I can see that. For me, I'm going to go Anthony Davis. He was snubbed last year. He's another player, like you said, who can guard 1 through 5. It was evident after Kawhi started off on a hot start in the opening night. Anthony Davis got on that and held them to a very poor shooting night, even though he had, a lot of points. It was a poor, efficiently shooting night. Anthony Davis is, he's great. He can 1 through 5. He's the guy who they got their best guy. He says, I want him, and I could do it. And I respect it. I think I don't know how he can get snubbed 2 years in a row, honestly.
I don't want to say it will be a snub, but I also, similar to the take that Robert had with the MVP, these guys just finished playing the finals.
Mm-hmm. That's true. It's going to take them a minute to get, into high gear. For sure.
Their main, like, it's on any LeBron James team, you're going to see load management, and I'm not going to expect him to play a lion's share of minutes for the month of January. Like,
true.
I think he start taking hit, like start playing more and hitting his stride. But
we also have to remember Giannis was, because of how much they blew out teams, he only averaged like 32 or 34 minutes a game last year, and he won it. Yeah, and if Davis plays around that much, which I mean, obviously.
I want you guys to remember one thing to it. It's a media narrative, and the media hates that low management shit.
They do. But it's different if like he's sitting out a game compared to like if he's like sitting some minutes during game, but if he's still starting.
If they do what I think they're gonna do, which is like alternate him and Bron, like how the Clippers did Paul George and Kawhi, then they're probably.
Ooh, we'll see about that, because you're right. They definitely will not enjoy any of that, but we'll see.
Speaking of third-year players, for my most improved, I got DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick in that draft. I could see him taking that all-star leap this year with Chris Paul at point guard. His offensive bag is lethal, to say the least. And I could see him putting up some big numbers out there in Phoenix.
I like that. Ayton's definitely one of those players that I don't know why he's pretty slept on. Obviously he was the number 1 overall pick, and he's come into the league booming 16-10. So I like that. What do you got to say, Bruno? I mean, Beanmo, what do you say? Who do you got?
Oh, I got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Okay. I like that. He's gonna have a lot of minutes over there in OKC.
Gonna be the number 1 option.
I don't want to say that they kind of like entered rebuild mode, but they kind of scrapped their team and they're like building from.
Yeah.
Round up.
They literally are. Yeah, they did scrap the team low key.
He's another third-year guy, but I do think he's gonna have way more touches because Chris Paul is one of the most ball dominant players in the league. In his rookie season, he averaged only 11, and then last year he averaged 19. So I could only imagine now when he's taking most of the shots that he's going to average somewhere in the mid-20s. Similar to what I did last year when he got on his own.
I like that. For me, heavy Knicks boy, and I'm gonna have to give it to RJ Barrett. Honestly, I know that some might say, "Whoa, opening night, yeah, he had a good game," but don't get too ahead of myself. RJ Barrett being snubbed for the all-rookie team, one of the most, I want to say, so like I don't even know the term. It was just evil, horrible. I feel robbed, lied to. I feel like the analysts that selected the award weren't watching the games last season. RJ Barrett is criticized for his efficiency last season while being the number 1 option as the youngest player in the class. Also, it doesn't make any sense to me personally. And I think that it's just a start. What his opening night to 26, 8-5, I think is a lot closer to what he is.
3 from 3.
3 for 3 from 3 points, and he he's got the mid range. So I knew the 3-pointer was coming. He has a good jump shot. It looks great, great form. And, I could see him. I don't want to go too ahead of myself, but, on the Knicks, he's stepped into his role. He's a lot more mature and more comfortable. I can see this easily being north of 20 points. Don't want to say too many, but averaging 14 last season. Anything, averaging 20 at flat would have been at least a 6-point increase. And that's already drastic. Averaged 5 rebounds last game. I say he can average 7, 6 or 7. That's already pretty good. 5 is good, and he averaged about 2 assists, and he plays a lot of ball, he's the main ball handler a lot. So I think that you can get that up to maybe even 4 assists. And if he averages 27 and 4 or 22, 7 and 4, who's to say that's not the most improved player in the league?
Obviously, as a Knicks fan.
Yeah, this is not, as a Knicks fan, it doesn't sound too bad.
Topic that's been coming up in this thing is the awards. He got snubbed because the team was bad, not because he wasn't one of the top 10 rookies in the league. I think it was
also just because of efficiency.
But that's like a product of being on a team who's just
it's bad.
Like, it's always a media thing. Like, Giannis wasn't probably the best player in the league last year, but he was the best player on the best team, which was going to get the award. So if there was other,
okay, what about PJ Washington and Rhea?
I mean, but you can't ignore Giannis also breaking like impact metrics and whatnot. It's not like they just gave it to him.
I'm not saying he's scrubbed by any.
He was averaging more points, more rebounds. It's like 6 assists. He had cause for the MVP.
All right, so 6th man of the year, guys. Who do we got? Let's go, Smokey.
I got Karis LeVert out in Brooklyn. The guy is an absolute bucket. He could be an all-star on another team. He can be a go-to guy for most teams in the league. I shouldn't say most, but on a plethora of teams in the league.
I would even say most, man. That kid is special.
To have a guy like that off your bench is really something rare in this league. It's definitely going to be something special out in Brooklyn this year.
Okay. Bean, who do you have?
I'm kind of on the fence of mine, but it was kind of obvious. In my first take, the thing that jumped out to me in the Lakers game was how well their bench played. So I'm going to split mine into 2. I'm going to go Dennis Schroeder and Harrell. I'm leaning towards Montrez to go back-to-back. But Schroeder is coming off 14, 12, and 8, which isn't bad considering you had Patrick Beverley guarding you. And Montrez Harrell, like, the work speaks for itself. Like, he's hustling every play. He's guarding, like, the best big. And he's trying to clean up almost every miss. He had 17 points. I'm pretty sure, like, 10 of those were second-chance points.
Okay.
Kevin, what did you have?
Well, honestly, for me, for 6th man of the year, because, I'm not quite sure how many starts somebody gets until they're not capable of being eligible.
Yeah.
But if Tyler Hero is eligible for the award, I can see him snagging it because it's also a media award. He's a huge media presence, and they love him over there in Miami. So I could see that. They love him everywhere in the NBA at this point. So I can see that being someone who sneaks the award. And, I can see Lou Will without Montrezl being on the team. I think that opens up a lot of scoring off the bench the need for a lot of scoring more off the bench for the Clippers. And I think he's that guy. So you can never count. Honestly, every single year he's in the league, you got to count Lou Will in for the award. He's up there. He's always going to be at least a top 5 candidate for it. So
Hero's not a bad pick, too, because he plays like he doesn't have a conscience, which is a good thing. Like, his confidence.
Yeah, he just shoots it. Yeah.
If I miss, I'll make the next one. Like, he's not worried about none of that, which I think is.
That's a good trait for a 6th man. Exactly. Yeah.
A second-year player, that's a great trait.
All right. Lastly, for the accolades, let's talk Coach of the Year. Who's the coach that you think can surprise people and win the award, Smokey? Let's hear it first.
Well, it's gonna seem like I'm the biggest Brooklyn fan, but I got Steve Nash winning Coach of the Year. I could see the first-year coach ending up with the 1st or 2nd seed in the East.
Okay.
Yeah, so I could definitely see them handing him the award this year. Yeah, he has probably the best roster in basketball to work with as well.
I like that. I could see that because you're right. Steve Nash is going to be a player or not a player, but a coach that's going to have an unbelievably stacked team for his first year. They're going to be competing. Bean, who do you got? Who's a coach that you think could surprise people this year, win the award, or maybe not a surprise?
All right, so I don't think it will be a surprise, but I think Brad Stevens will be the coach of the year because coach his team over the potential that they've had. Like, he made Isaiah Thomas into like a box office name, 30 points per game. There's no coincidence that every time the Sixers has ran into them, he's basically taken their 2-star players and exposed their biggest weaknesses and made them like non-factors. So I think like he's just like, combined with the talent he has, he's just such a great basketball mind. Like, he has Jeff Teague backing up Kemba Walker, which is like 2 solid point guards. He has a young star in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who both went off tonight. Jaylen Brown had 33, and I think Tatum had like 28. And like their role plays aren't bad too. Like Marcus Smart, hustle player, Daniel Theis, another hustle player, Tristan Thompson. Like, they play hard and they play for their coach. Like, there's no reason like they pick their roster based on players who they know would buy in, and I'm not mad at it. All of them play defense, which is like
probably the best coach in the NBA.
Yeah,
I will agree. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I like it. He's extremely smart coach. It's weird that he doesn't have a defensive player of the year under his belt yet, and I can see that. I can see that for sure. For me, I'm gonna have to go with. I mean, it's a little. Both of these are hot takes. I'm gonna go with two guys that are they're probably extremely low in the, if you're gonna a betting man, in the percentages, they'd probably win you a lot of money if they win the award. I could see Monty Williams of the Suns head coach, snagging the coach of the year if they're top 5 seed. I don't know why not. Chris Paul has that effect on teams, and I could see it happening. They have a great roster of guys. Hopefully they stay healthy. And I could also see even Lloyd Pierce, the coach of the Hawks, with the new team, the great roster, a superstar in Trae Young. I can see something happening there. And obviously, those are both teams that aren't expected to be top 4, top 5 seeds in their respective conferences, or maybe the Hawks are now after the opening night. But if they do snag one of those top seeds, I can see those guys being worthy.
I'm definitely not mad at either of those picks. Those guys are both quote unquote dark horses, but I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Monty Williams is a plus 1,400. So if you bet $100, you will get $1,400 back on Monty Williams. And
all right, hey, if you guys win on Monty, remember me, huh?
The coach will be named on this list, so
Lloyd Pierce, look at that. Lloyd will win you like 3,000 on $100 bet or something.
30+ point win tonight, so that's not a bad take,
right? Exactly. I like it. All right, so we're done with accolades. Let's move on. This is a Knicks podcast. We're all Knicks fans. Therefore, sport aches. We feel pain. Bean, start us off. What do you think of the Knicks preseason, huh? And tell me, what do you think of their preseason game 1? What do you think their projection will be this season? Not too quick, but not too slow.
Going off the preseason and what I saw tonight, the potential that the young players have, like RJ went off for crazy career high, like crazy numbers in game 1. But then I also see like the holdbacks that we have. Like if we have our young guys playing behind veteran players and not getting the opportunity to make mistakes, they could only improve that much. Like Mitchell Robinson was in early foul trouble, like from a lack of discipline. Julius Randle, I'm not sure where he shot from the field, but I felt like every couple of minutes I saw him taking a shot, which is like not ideal when you want to like groom young stars like Obi-Toppin and Kevin Knox, and Frank Ntilikina barely touched the floor today, which is somebody I'm pretty sure they're not trying to get rid of.
I think they are.
I don't think we are.
It's his this is his contract season, and we didn't give him an extension.
Yeah, we didn't extend him because what's his value really?
Exactly. That's part of it. And especially if we're not playing him, it's not exactly like he's gonna get a nice contract. I mean, unless he gets extremely lowballed by us and re-signs, because if he gets even 10 a year on from somebody else, I do not see the Knicks matching. But go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, but just one more thing. Like I brought up the box score, the Julius Randle take, a couple seconds ago. Tonight, Julius Randle shot 7 for 15 from the field, and I think 15 shots is way too much to give him. I don't like him as the number 1 option. Like I'm gonna just say it flat out.
Okay.
Barrett got more shots than him though.
They shot
the same, 15 each.
Yeah, 15 each.
I honestly, he had 9 assists though. I feel like Julius Randle's game has changed quite a bit.
Yeah, I feel like he's much more willing passer.
He averaged 3 assists last game, so I feel like 9 in the opening day is improvement though.
Like Obi-Toppin had a rough first game, which is expected. He shot 3 for 12 from the field. Like,
yeah,
he still looked confident though, so you like that.
Mm-hmm.
Still wasn't backing away.
I enjoyed that he took 12 shots. I like that.
I will watch him miss 20 shots if I have to.
Yeah, he hit 3 3-balls. Like, come on, that's pretty good. He had to find his range, and I think that's good.
Well, I'm excited for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I think Obi-Toppin's passing is a very underrated part of his game.
Very underrated. I like that.
Another thing, like Sabonis was lighting us up.
Yeah, that was really hard to watch out there.
Sabonis is an all-star and a player's player. I think that it says more about Sabonis than it does the Knicks' poor defense, honestly. But Robert, wait, you're not done yet, Bean, right?
You got that. Go ahead. It doesn't got to be that kind of thing. But he had 32 points on 18 shots. 11.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was getting to the free throw line. Like it looked like every freaking time he was in the paint. But yeah, I'm gonna give my take on it. Emmanuel Quickly in the preseason looked like a godsend for New York. The way he pushes the tempo, creates more open looks for our youngins running the floor. It's really ideal for the offense of Tom Thibodeau as well, because defense leads to offense. That's all he preaches.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Quickly looked like the best fit at point guard, even though we didn't start him. We started Alfred Payton, and then Quickly got hurt very soon, too soon, very quickly. But the kid's game is pretty polished. He has a great shot. That floater is just so beautiful. It's such a soft touch.
Yeah,
he looks like he's gonna be a very
I love that.
Mm-hmm. But it really sucks to see him go out so early. Topin, super freak athlete, but needs to work on his shot, find the NBA range, whatnot. Yeah, you expect this out of a rookie. And also, we need to get rid of Randall so we can see his whole bag. RJ Barrett looked like the player we all know he could be. The third pick, the best player in the class out of high school. The guy is supposed to be an absolute stud, and he's looking like it right now. Yeah, ranked higher than Zion out of high school.
Of course. And reclassified from a junior, left early. Never forget. Never.
And yeah, the Knicks are looking competitive, and they're going to be really fun to watch this year.
Alec Burks looked great off the bench.
Alec Burks he's an excellent scorer off the bench.
Yeah, he is. He is. I'm not too happy about it, but he's a bucket. He's definitely a bucket. Like he said, you guys both had unbelievable points. He touched on all of it. Topin, I like that he shoots. Want him to keep shooting, find that range. Obviously, this is a team where I questioned Tom Thibodeau's signing only because I knew this would be a growing year for the team. But he's such a great development. Like he's such a great developer of the players that he puts so much pressure on them to play, to the best of their abilities every play, defensively, offensively. I like that. I feel like that's how I can notice it because Topin was already a player that was considered not a good defender, but you can see it from the way that he constantly has his hands active, moving, all of them. And these are signs of Thibodeau's coaching, and I love it. And I think that obviously having a coach like Thibodeau is going to be what primarily helps RJ take that next step to becoming my like direct player comp for him will always be Jimmy Butler for now. A player who obviously RJ is gonna develop a better shot than Jimmy from deep, but he's a player that right now is a scrapper. He can handle the ball as a wings and can get to the paint. He can play the 2 and the 3, and he can rebound. And he's looking like a really good on-ball defender. So,
athletic Jimmy.
What?
He's an athletic Jimmy.
Yeah, he's an athletic Jimmy, and I think his ceiling. It's scary to say. I think his ceiling is even higher than Jimmy's. I know that people are going to be like, "What?"
Oh yeah, it is. That's not scary.
It literally is. After the season is done, you can compare sophomore Jimmy to sophomore RJ, and I'm pretty sure the numbers will speak for themselves.
Yeah, freaking Jimmy wasn't supposed to be this good. RJ is expected to be.
And honestly, I feel like the all-rookie snub, it pushed him so much, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that
it made him so angry. Like, you guys just pissed off a monster.
The revenge tour.
This is the revenge tour. And obviously quickly got hurt. It upset me. 12 minutes, he had a +5. And, he changed the pace of the game. I love his energy out there. Alfred Payton, remove him from my team whenever possible. I would love that. Alec Burks, he's a bucket, and I have no problem with him. He dropped 22 tonight, but on 6 of 12. But the team that we have, I'm on the Knicks tanking train, but I hope that Burks is a player that we can eventually trade for a first-round pick. So
deadline, that would be very clutch.
Yeah. Because he's that guy. He's looking like the new age Marcus Morris.
I could see the Knicks as buyers at the deadline instead of sellers.
That would make me very upset, but sure.
Depending on our record, of course.
That's part of the reason I didn't want Tom, because I want us to lose games. I want a Jalen Green to team up with RJ so we can build a dynasty, compared to getting bounced in the first round and having a bad lottery pick. But I mean, we'll see. You know, I can only control so much as a fan. So what do we? So Knicks record then. What do you guys got them going? For me, I'm gonna lowball it. 72 games. I'm gonna say. I was gonna say 20 and 52, but like that's only optimism on my part.
Yeah, that's
optimism. I think they'll be a little bit better. Hopefully they don't win 30 games, but you know, what do you guys got?
I got them winning 30 games. I have them 30 and 42, but it still might project to be 14th in the East and 27th in the NBA. I hope so.
Okay. That's still a top 3 pick. Hey, go for it then, boys.
But the NBA is just looking really talented this year. Like there's a lot of teams are just looking good.
Yeah, there's like a lot of very good players getting buried in depth now. It's weird. That's what the NBA is. The NBA
is getting stacked.
The league is getting, the NBA is drastically improving talent every single year. Players are being able to get like the taller guys are starting to be able to dribble between the legs and shoot threes now, all everywhere.
Talent levels going through the roof.
So Bean, what do you got before we finish this? What do you got the record?
I'm in the middle of you two. I'm at like 25 wins because I'm looking at it 2 ways. One, it is a lockout season, or it's the equivalent of a lockout, like a shortened season. Like they play a lot of back-to-backs in like 3 games in 4 nights. So I believe like the younger teams would have a higher chance. Like obviously like the younger guys have better legs and you know what I mean, better stamina. But, you also look at it too, like the way the schedule is set up because of the COVID because of the
implications.
Yeah. You're playing the same team twice, so like you play like the division. So you play like the Lakers, the Clippers, the Clippers. So after the first game, they figure something out. They're shutting you down the next game. You know what I mean? So like that's where being a young team will hurt us. So I have us at 25 and 47.
Let's talk Pro Bowl. All right, Bean, let me know what do you think about the Pro Bowl, the new Pro Bowl setup, and who do you say was a snub?
Okay, so my first guy that I have who was snubbed was DeForest Buckner, all right? And I understand like Calais Campbell and Chris Jones are like 2 household names. And Cam Hayward, I want to throw him in there too. But DeForest Buckner had 52 tackles, 7.5 sacks, and 8 tackles for a loss with 24 quarterback hits. That he had more tackles than both Hayward and Campbell, more sacks, more tackles for a loss, and more QB hits, but yet he failed to make it, which I think was a big snub, considering their defense is first in points too. So like I don't know where the discrepancy was in picking these guys. And I also had Shaq Barrett getting snubbed. He had 52 total tackles, with 8 sacks and 3 pass deflections, and he also had the most quarterback pressures in the NFL with I believe 27. I know edge rusher had more quarterback pressures than he did with 71 pressures. There we go. My fault, not 27. Bradley Chubb was picked over him. Bradley Chubb had 26 solo tackles and 42 total, which isn't better than Chubb because Chubb had 52 total. And than Barrett. And then Bradley Chubb also had 1 less pass deflection than him. I don't know where the discrepancy was made. I think Shaq Barrett definitely should have made it. I was a huge fan of him since he was on the Broncos. Kevin, you want to go?
All right. Well, for me, for Pro Bowl snubs, well, I mean, first, let me just say the new Pro Bowl system is disgusting. It's disgusting. It's horrific. They're playing Madden. I can see why a lot of players that are notably having greater seasons than some that are made the list are not there, because obviously they're not going to want to send the first year Pro Bowler to an event where it's only going to be a celebrity showcase really for the fans, because They're just playing Madden. I mean,
a skill. It's a showcase of
like I mean, it is what it is. No complaints. I'm sure plenty of the players are going to be awful, but for snubs, Robert Tanyan, how did he not make it? 10 touchdown passes this season. Him and only Travis Kelce have that many touchdowns for tight ends, and he's done it on 54 targets, not catches. To Kelce's 127 targets. Aaron Rodgers in the red zone. That's everything that needs to be said. So Robert Tonyan, he should be there. And another player who should be there is probably a fantasy league winner for more than everybody. I mean, anybody who's in the playoffs. There's I think they said it was one of the highest percentage of players of being on a playoff team. I think it was James Robinson, who he has 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns. Only Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook have more rushing yards this season. Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook. And those two people are the scariest running backs in the game right now. McCaffrey's extremely talented, probably the best. I said scary. Those two are the scariest guys. James Robinson's third. How's he not there? I guess because he plays in Jacksonville, no one cares. But
that should give him more of a that lost offense.
He is that team. He is that team. He's their Fournette replacement for just being the offense. So, So who do you got? What do you got, Bob?
I thought it was interesting that Justin Jefferson made it in his rookie season. Kind of interesting that Allen Robinson got snubbed. Allen Robinson had a great year. I think 1,100 yards at the moment of this recording.
Yes,
Not sure how many touchdowns, but
6.
Allen Robinson was having a great year.
Wait, 6 touchdowns? 1 drop in 132 targets. Being thrown balls by Trubisky and Nick Foles.
The guy's an absolute beast, man.
That alone is award-winning.
The catch radius is just different.
Take the numbers for face value, but when you put into account who's throwing him the balls, you gotta give him a little bump.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Come on now.
For sure. And Devin White, I don't even understand how this is possible. He had one of the best seasons I've seen. 130 tackles, 8 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery for Devin White. And he somehow got snubbed. I don't know how, 3rd in the league in tackles. Doesn't make sense to me. And J.C. Jackson, another player that does not make sense to me at all. 8 interceptions and an opponent passer rating of 52. So you cannot target this guy and expect something good to happen. It won't happen. And he played better than Stephon Gilmore, his teammate, who was out this year as well. So how does Gilmore get on over J.C. Jackson? Doesn't make sense to me, but to no avail.
You know that because I'm such a big Cam Newton fan that I've been watching in all the all the Pats games, and J.C. Jackson literally every time there's a pick, I look at the screen, it's J.C. Jackson. I swear it's ridiculous.
Yeah, every time.
Every time I'm it's if it's a Pats interception, there's a 93% chance J.C.'s got it. So
you got to think about it like this too. A lot of the defensive players sat out the season because of the COVID. And he's still putting up these.
He still stepped it up. That's crazy. No Hightower, no Chung. Gilmore's been beat up, and now he's done for the season. And JC's ready for the job.
Also, Trey Hendrickson, tied for second in the league with sacks with 12.5. Huge snub. I don't know how you leave a guy off that, averaging that many sacks off the list on top 3, top 5 defensive unit. Doesn't make sense to me.
That's true. Hendrickson's been a big reason that team has been so good, even without Drew Brees. He's been a force. That's crazy.
Yeah,
it's tough. Wow.
He had 3 guys?
The Saints, yeah. I believe they only had 3 people on the roster.
They had 2.
2?
The Seahawks and the Chiefs had 3. Oh, you mean on the roster or on
the Pro Bowl? Oh, I mean on roster total.
Oh yeah. I think it was only 3.
But even on the I was just going about the point of they're one of the better defenses in the NFL, and they only had 2 guys make it.
Never mind. Saints had 5. They had 5 total.
With 2 defensive. They only had Cam Jordan.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it was only Jordan and Lattimore.
Both beasts.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That's tough, man. That's tough. We definitely gonna have to start getting football a lot more into the podcast. I think the fans really appreciate that, and obviously football is a very big thing in our hearts. So, all right, guys, and that's all from your boys here at SportAches with your hosts K Noon, Smokey, and the Bean. Stay healthy, stay blessed.
Guys, take care.
Take care. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at SportAches, and tune in every Tuesday and Thursday for new episodes. Catch y'all when we catch y'all.
Peace.
Peace.